Hello friends, this is Avinash Kumar. Welcome you all once again. In this video, we will learn what are the data types we have, what are the primitive data type and wrapper classes, and what is typecasting. We will also come to know that types of data that Java deals with. Data type tells us that which type of data and what will be the size of data can be stored into the identifier. If you want to know in detail about the identifier, you can watch my other video, Identifier in Java. The type can be classified into two different types. Let's see its types. In Java, we have two different types of data type. Those are primitives and reference variables. Primitives data type variable contain an actual value. However, the reference variables only refer address of object, but it doesn't contain the object. So if we change the primitive data type, the value will change, but changing reference variable will always point the same object. Now let's know more about primitive data type. So here we can see some example of primitive data type. If you do not assign any value into primitive data type, Java assigns a default value to it. So in the second column, we can find default values of all primitive data type. In Java 8, size of primitive data type have been increased. You can also see comparison between them with Java 7. And finally, the range of all data types. From fourth column, you can understand what will be the lowest and largest value that can be assigned into primitive data type. So as per our requirement, in terms of the range of the value, we should choose data type during the programming. Here in the third column, we can see over here like the size of the character was 2 in Java 7, but the size of character 16 is in Java 8. Here we will understand typecasting. When we assign any primitive value into another primitive value, it is known as typecasting. Whenever we do typecasting value changes, casting can be classified into two ways, and these are upcasting and downcasting. In this diagram, when we cast the primitive value from top to bottom and left to right, it is known as upcasting. When we do upcasting, it implicitly does the casting. However, when we cast primitive value from bottom to top and right to left, it is known as downcasting. But downcasting need to be explicitly performed. In this slide, we have done orientation in 3 columns as per the type of data deals with the reference variable. Now we have next topic to discuss, that is wrapper class. From the name itself, we can say that it is used to wrap up the stuff. That stuff is primitive data type. Java has introduced the wrapper class with the generics in Java 5. Actually, primitive are enough to take value, but these are not objects. Objects have their own qualities like relation and hierarchy. That hierarchy and relation are often used in data structure, or we can say that in collections. It is a very important topic of Java, the collection. For this reason, wrapper classes has been used by the designer of Java. Here we have wrapper classes of the primitive data type. Here we can see that there is a primitive data side in the left side, like char, we have character. For byte primitive, we have byte class. For int primitive we have integer class, so on, you can see over here. Now let's talk about the reference variable. It is a point to refer type of object only. It does not contain actual object, but it contains the address of the object. Suppose students is taking reference of object of a student, then it will always contain the reference of its student object and also the hierarchy of the student object. The same will be discussed in detail in the inheritance video. So for reference variable we will also give some example on inheritance video. Now moving to for live demo. Let's see the live demo. So here we are going to see like what are the data types we have and how it works. So for example, here you can see over here like we have used some primitive data types like byte, char, and here you can see like here we are having an error. So char is used to take a single character value. So if we will going to remove this b from here, it is a single character value, but in Java double quotes is used to give values for a string, but it is a char only, so it will not accept this double quotes value. So with a single character and with a single quotes, now it will accept the value, that is single small a. Here we have a sort. Sort primitive takes a value non-decimal values, but here we can see it is giving an error because I have assigned the value more than his range. Now it will not give any error because its largest value what sort can take is 32,767. So if I need to assign larger value than this, we need to go with the integer. As similar as over here, like integer is not able to have that much value, so it is giving an error over here. So I'm going to change this value. So as similar, the integer will have only maximum value of this. If you want to assign larger value, then you need to go with the long primitive data type. So here we have another data type, for example is float. So float data type, what happens like here we need to give f with the float, otherwise it will give an error because by default it will understand the value is double. So we need to always give f after the value if we are directly assigning the value to the float variable. So here we have example of double and flag and boolean also. Let's run this code. So here we are able to have the output. It's working fine. Now we were talking about the default values. Here I am giving a constant value to all primitive data types. So I'm going to comment this and uncomment this value. Now here Java should give the default value to these primitive data type. But here I'm able to see that we are getting compile time error that the value must be initialized. So point is why we are giving this kind of error, because Java only gives the default value to the global variables, not to the private variable. These are the private variables because I have declared those variables into the method. So to give the default value, we need to declare it as a global variable. So if I'm going to declare those value out of the method in a global into the class, then Java will assign default values over here. Now you can see that we don't have any error in this class. Now I'm going to run, and after run we will find what are the default values Java have been assigned to this all primitive data types. So here these are the primitive data types default value which is assigned by Java. Now moving to next live demo, that is type conversion. In type conversion, we were discussing about upcasting and downcasting. So we know that from byte to int, it is upcasting, so there is no issue with that. Java is not giving any error. I have assigned byte b have 7 value, and I'm trying to assign a value of b into the integer n, and it is not giving any error. But what if I'm trying to assign an integer value into byte? It gives an error. Why this kind of compiler error is given by Java? The answer is because Java knows that the range of byte is lesser than the range of int. So if we are pushing a value from byte to int, it will not create any error or data loss. But it may possible, like if a value into the integer is going to be pushed into the value of byte, it will cause a data loss. So Java is not allowing this. If we want to do the downcasting, then we need to explicitly assign this kind of casting, that I'm forcefully casting int into byte. It is not my error. I'm trying to forcefully assign the value. Now I'm going to run this particular class and see the output. What is the output is? So here we are getting the correct output, that is 77. But what if I have assigned the 10,000 into the integer? But now we know that the 10,000 is the larger value between the range of byte. So byte should not support this 10,000. But here I'm forcefully trying to push value from integer to byte. So now let's see what the output will be. Here the output is going to be changed. Now we are going to see that the 1000 is converted into the 16. So how 16 comes in a picture? If we talk about the value of binary of 10,000, that is equal to 16. So by default Java has converted this value from integer to binary, and it is giving you 16. Means the data has been incorrected during the programming. That is why downcasting is not supported by default by Java. Java expect a coder to forcefully cast this. Now moving to next live demo, that is a reference variable. In reference variable, we know that Java has a wrapper class and reference variable. Java has a wrapper class for all primitive values. Like for integer, we have integer. So here we are, this is a wrapper class which is going to be wrap the value of int. And also we talk about the reference variable, since this is not a constant value. So because what it is, it's an object, so it is kept into the reference variable I. So here the I is a reference variable, but here it is a primitive variable because it's a primitive type of value. Now we need to understand how we can assign a value from single primitive to different primitive values. Here what I have done is integer n is having 12, and I have wrapped this into I reference variable. So I is having a reference of an integer object which value is 12. Now I'm trying to assign a reference variable value into the primitive. So Java is not giving any compile time error. But when I try to put a primitive of integer into another primitive of long, it will also not giving any error. But when I'm trying to put the value of a primitive into the reference variable, that what I have found, it is giving an error. So we cannot put actually a primitive value into the wrapper class directly. That wrapper class is not similar with the primitive. Here we have int, we have integer wrapper class for this int. But what I'm trying to do is I'm putting the value of int into the long wrapper class, so it is not allowing us. So what we can do is we can wrap this value for long. So in order to do this, what I need to do is need to pass a string over here. It will allow me to change this. So from string to integer, I have passed this value. We have a method in long class pass long to do that. Same over here, if we want to put a value or different reference variable to the different one, here what we are doing is putting value of integer into the long wrapper class. So the same way I need to do, I need to put this value over here to resolve the issue. So in summary, we can say that if we have an integer wrapper class, it cannot be directly assigned to a long wrapper class. We need to go with the parse, and we can use this method to parse a string into any wrapper class. So here, integer having a parse int method. So here, like long is having the parse long. Now at the end of this particular video, I'm going to ask a question. That question is, like, we have a byte B with the value 1, byte C with the value 2, and byte D with the value 3. But what if we are trying to sum B and C and trying to assign the value into S? We know that after doing simple math, we can understand the B plus C will be 3. But here we have compile time error. But if I am directly assigned to value 3 to D, it is not giving an error. So this is question for you guys. Search why this error is coming. We know that what is the error? The error is that cannot convert from int to byte, but you need to figure it out why this error is. Do Google and try to find the answer and post that answer into the comments. Or in later videos, I'll show you why this kind of error is coming and what is the answer of this. So that's it from my side for this video. And kindly like this channel, subscribe my channel, like this video, and that's it from my side for this video. Thank you.